Welcome back to the warehouse. Today we are joined by a McDonald's coffee that jumped off onto the floor, and well, of course I got a replacement. But anyways, what we're doing here today is take a look at a chair that a friend gave me a few months back that is lovingly referred to as Old Dusty. Yeah, I'll deal with that later. All right, here it is in all of its glory. This is, I believe, a Ranger X, maybe? But this thing was custom built specifically to go to Burning Man and deal with the sand and the salt and everything out there. It went there for a couple of years, and then he decided he's not going to be using it anymore. So here we are. It's been sitting here in the corner. I know some of you have seen it in the live streams and other videos, but we're going to pull this thing out of here and kind of go through it and see what's going on. I've already pulled the battery box out, but yeah, I think this should be an interesting thing to take a look at. And maybe we can get it to power up today? I'm not sure. It has the old Mark IV invacare electronics. I think it's Mark IV. I'll have to check, but the plan is to do an electronic swap on this thing, but I'm curious to see if we can at least get it to fire up. Okay, Stretto, I don't like you and you don't like me, but please move. Okay, boot it up. Oh, it's still alive. It's a Christmas miracle. Oh, that's where my Blu-ray player went. It's sitting in this chair. I need to rearrange some stuff in here so we got a little bit more room. And I apologize about the whirring noise in the background. I'm going to be installing a battery disconnect on the bounder. I think the little battery monitor that I have on there has a quiescent draw of like 1 amp. I used that chair about a week ago and the battery was almost dead. So I think that little Amazon cheapy import meter is maybe doing something. But anyways, that's what you hear in the background there. All right, this thing. So I believe it's a Ranger X. It's got the 4-pole motors on it. Got some wheel hub adapters on the back for these giant tires. And there's a bunch of, well, obviously Burning Man. If you don't know what that is, some of this won't make sense. But we've got a little switch panel here for some auxiliary stuff. And there's some RGB strips here. We've got some really nice looking high power LEDs on the front. I think this was part of the seating. Yeah, I think this was for the tilt mechanism maybe. Yeah, so this is Mark IV invacare electronics. Super old school. Manual toggle here and manual speed control. And you can tell that it was at Burning Man because of all of the silt that is covering everything. So I think what I'm going to do here is pull off some of this extra wiring, pull off the RGB tape, and take a look at the wiring and see what we can figure out. There's some stuff on the front here because he pulled a bunch of the gear off of it that he wasn't using. So there's some wires hanging down on the front here and whatnot. So I'm going to take a look at this here for a few minutes, see what I can figure out, and then, I don't know, I think we might just swap on Mark VI electronics. Anyways, I'm going to do some looking around, figure out what the plan is, and then I'll be back. Okay, after doing a little bit of looking around here, I don't think there's any hope of resurrecting the control system that's already on this chair. So I'm gonna pop the connectors off the back for the motors. And actually, I think I can do that right now. Oh, so this does not use standard motor connectors. So we're gonna have to wire up some adapters, I think. But at this point, this system, it's got a lot of interesting old things on it, like a little micro fuse block and some XLR connectors, and for some reason everything's covered in dust. But I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pull these controls off of here, and then set it up with some Mark VI stuff, because I've got a complete setup for that and I know it's going to work. I don't think it's worth the time trying to get this thing powered up with the existing controls. So I'm gonna get all this wiring out of here, and then we're gonna look at installing more modern stuff. And here is our Mark IV control box. As you can see, they use some interesting connectors, and the motor outputs are actually hardwired into these Anderson mini power poles. So what we're going to do, I'll probably wind up cutting these off, and then I'll make up some adapters so we can adapt from the Mark VI to this stuff, because the motors still have these connectors right here. So I think that should work all right. SD card's getting full. Ooh, my hands are dusty. SD card's getting full. I'm going to swap that out real quick, and then we'll continue on. Okay, fast forward some amount of time later. Oh, I forgot to change the SD card. Anyways, I managed to get my stash of parts out here, and we've picked out some potential candidates that should work with this chair, maybe. I'm not 100% sure where this came from. It looks like it was sitting in a shed for a while, but I think it should clean up. If not, I have another one of these. And then it's got the matching seating actuator controller here. We have the ubiquitous unlabeled blue buttons, the 90 amp with accessories unit. These are all matched together. And then there's another, I think this is another actuator module. I'm pretty sure this thing only has tilt, so we might even be able to run it directly off of this, although I don't have the pinout adapter for that. Anyways, I'm going to clean up some of this stuff. I've got the batteries over there charging. They're in the box that slides into the back of this thing. Oh, and also, I came across my stash of Invacare motor harnesses. These, some of the wires are, they're not brittle, but they're certainly not in the best of shape, but I think it should be enough to get this thing online. And I even found a power cable with an RF choke on it, because, you know, fanciness. I'll be back. Okay, we have a battery box here with a connector on it. We're going to attempt to power up this control system right here on the floor. Now this one, with the Mark VI stuff, it's fairly important to keep everything matched together. I cannot for the life of me figure out what chair this control system came off of, but I get the feeling it was kind of a throwaway chair, and I just pulled everything off of it and threw it all in a box. So we have these weird 7-pin sandwich connectors. So we're going to pull the clips off of these and get them all stacked together in some sort of order. It's still somewhat unclear as to whether these have to be in a specific order or not. Oh, and I have the one unobtainium piece right here. The regular Invacare 4-pin to the 7-pin adapter. These things are hard to find. Anytime they come up on eBay, I just buy them. So we're just going to start by stacking these together and see what we get. This control system uses sort of a serial communication, and we're just going to plug in all of the modules that it came with from whatever chair setup it was on. So we end up with a weird little stack like this. It had its own unlabeled 4-pin setup, so I think that might be everything. Okay, let's plug this into our controller. Now obviously it's going to throw a bunch of errors because, oops, because there are no motors connected. Okay, so our bus cable's plugged in. Turn our joystick off. And then let's connect up power and see what happens. And hopefully we don't lose too much magic smoke. Okay, so there's that. And here we go, I guess. Okay, screen blinked for a second, got a little bit of an arc. Let's turn it on and see what happens. This is an MPJ-C, so it should be the color one. Oh, I remember this one now. This is a joystick that only shows white. I can't remember where this one came from. Or no, I think I had another friend that had a different one of these that did that as well. I might have to do a little bit more digging around. I'm Other than the test bench over here, I don't know where any more of these joysticks are. Well, I mean, somewhere in here, but yeah. Nope, back into my chair. Okay, take 72. Found another one. I think this might have been from the pink soccer chair, and it looks like I robbed a knob off of it. But we'll find out here shortly. If that is in fact the case, it will have a pink background. Weirdest connector system ever. I'm not quite sure why Invacare did that. But, you know, why not, right? Thank you. Let's see. So much stuff. And my next door neighbors complain when they hear the TV on in here. But, you know, people run around on dirt bikes and no one can say peep to them because they drive big lifted trucks. Ooh, there we go, reset, okay. Oh, reset. Okay, hey, there it is. It's the pink background. Can you even see that? Yeah. Okay, so drive lockout, that makes sense because I don't have motors or anything hooked up. Okay, cool. At least it powers up. And this is 90 amp with accessories. Cool. I think at this point, I'm going to unplug this from the batteries. And we're gonna make up some motor cables with this questionably old wire, which I think should be okay. Okay, I lied. Maybe I will film a little bit of this. The outer sheathing on this stuff is really crunchy, but the wires inside are actually in really good condition. These ones here, however, are going to be a bit of a mess because I usually pack these in sort of a talcum powder, kind of. And we're doing this on a little wobbly bedside table here, so probably won't be the most stable image in the world, but hey, you know. Yeah, you can see this is all packed with, actually there's no talcum powder in here, but there's a few layers of sort of some rubbery nylon stuff and whatnot. And yes, I did cut these off of that Mark IV controller. That control system's getting old enough now that capacitors and stuff inside those things are not reliable, and they're actually getting kind of dangerous to even continue using at this point. So don't freak out about me cutting the cords off of it. Although at some point we might open that thing up and take a look at what makes it tick, just to see what older technology in the 90s or whatever it was like. So we've got 4 wires here. We've got our 2 motor wires, which are bigger, and then the 2 brake wires, which are smaller. Now, since we are in testing, I'm going to use butt connectors. I normally never recommend doing this, especially for something that, do I even have enough of them? Okay, so we're gonna be using some butt connectors and some crimp end caps. Definitely not what you wanna do, but I just wanted to verify this is even gonna work at all, and then we will go back around later and solder everything up properly. Now, I'm not 100% sure on our polarity. We've got green and white, and this is configurable in software. So I think what I'm gonna do is call green the negative, though I am loosely basing that on nothing, as I like to say. So we're just gonna twist these together. Oh, that is way too small. Hang on, I'm gonna dig around in here. I've gotta have some better connectors somewhere. Well, I just wound up using the butt connectors for the higher amperage connections. Once again, don't do it this way. And then we use these little terminated end caps for the brake coils, since those things only pull no more than 1 amp each. But as you can see, now we have a connector. So I'm going to make up the other one real quick, then we'll plug this into the chair and see what happens. Now this is where things start getting fun. Let's get our connections re-plugged here. Click. Pull that over here. And click number 2. You know, I probably should have this thing jacked up off the floor or something, because If this thing tries to move, things might get exciting. Yeah, we'll just be careful. Careful. In no particular order, we will plug in our motor connectors. Ah, this casing doesn't bend. Okay. Power on. Reset. Left brake full. Oh, yeah, the brake levers are in neutral. Okay, they're in drive now. I don't know what the voltage on these brake coils are or anything, but I just want to see this chair move. Okay, it says ready to drive. Here we go. Oh, they click. Okay, let's turn up our speed. Ooh, there's backwards, and there's forwards. And we're already running over our cables. It's alive! I'm talking kind of quietly because I realize these walls are paper thin and everyone can hear right through them. Okay, what's next? I guess trying to attach this to the chair would probably be preferable. There are 2 bolts that the thing used to hang on up there. I do have this controller from a Jazzy 614 HD that has this convenient mounting plate on it. Although zip ties do exist. I'm gonna screw around for a little bit and see what I can figure out here. Alright, this has a bracket on the old controller. The holes don't quite line up with these screws on here, but I think one of them will, which I think is good enough for our purposes. Let me, are these Phillips screws? Yeah, let's pull this off. By the way, these little ring screwdrivers that come with the ring floodlight cams, they're some of my favorite screwdrivers ever. I don't know why, but they is. By the way, let's take a moment to appreciate the design of this and the heat sinking and everything that's on here. We should probably take this apart on some stream and see what's going on in there. Okay, what do we got here? So the screw holes that hold the controller together line up, but that's not a valid option. I think what I'm going to do is just pull these off and hang it off of one. This wound up being moderately convenient. We got one screw to go through, and the other end of the plate just sort of notches into this rubber thing. So this mounts onto the chair under here like that. So yeah, I think that'll work. Oh man, there's dust all over the camera. Alrighty, this is by far and away one of the more ghetto fab things we've set up. We've got a bunch of extra joystick cable here. I just wrapped that around. One of our motor connectors is hanging out on the outside here, but I think it should power up and maybe move. I don't know which direction, but we'll see here. Oh, get the brakes off again, hang on. Reset. Okay, ready to drive. Will it go forwards or backwards? It goes backwards. And left is right and right is left. So that means 2 things. One, we could swap our motor connectors for port 1 and port 2. That'll take care of our left and right. And the polarity is backwards on our wiring adapters. Actually, hang on. I'm gonna swap them real quick. Okay, they're swapped. If my brain's functioning correctly, I think forward and backward should still be wrong, but our left and right should be correct, potentially. Okay, left. Okay, we got left and right, and forward and backward. Okay, cool. So, before we attempt to drive this thing, we need to get the programming card in here. Probably also replace that knob that I took off. And we need to set it up for these 4-pole motors. Now, since this is an invacare product, the software is going to have a profile already set up for these 4-pole motors. So let me see if I can find a programming card. I think I got one around here somewhere. And yeah, let's do that. Yeah, apparently I left my hat over there. Anyways, I'm not going to lie. I started working on this today, and I didn't think we were going to get to the point of getting the new control system on it. I did somehow manage to get all these crates pushed over here with my chair and find the parts I need. And the thing does move now. So I'm happy about that. It's such a mess from that coffee. I don't even have paper towels or anything in here. I put some old chicken nuggets down there to try and soak up some of the coffee. It looks like maybe they're doing their job. Anyway, so we made a lateral transfer, maybe an upgrade, I guess. I sold another laptop that I had and another phone that I wasn't using, and we upgraded to this brand new 2013 MacBook Pro. This has the quad-core i7 and 16 gigs of RAM. And as you can hear from the fans, this thing rips. So I'm super happy to have a larger screen and stuff now. By the way, this thing was only 220 bucks. Anyways, back to the chair. I found this random SD card and it seems to be in a plastic case. It's only 512 megabytes. And I cannot figure any reason that I would have a 512 megabyte card in a plastic case unless it was for programming invacare. So let's jam it into this joystick. If I can open it, and see what happens. Open the little butt flap. Firmware update available. Press mode to update firmware. Okay, let's update firmware. Oh crap, it says erasing. Whatever's going on, I hope this works. That's interesting because I swear I've put one of the newer cards in this joystick before. So I don't know, this is interesting. First time I'm actually ever seeing this actually happening, and we happen to catch it on camera. I'm assuming this is an invacare card. I'll just back away and not look at it. Something about watching a pot boiling, I don't know. Okay, looks like we are back to some sort of mode here, so let's... Oh, this is the one that allows us to make changes on the screen. Cool. So I have not messed with this yet. Let's see if we can adjust anything useful. Huh, this is kind of cool. We've got a bunch of different stuff in here. System, calibrations, drive. Oh, we can change it. Okay, so 4-pole center wheel drive. So we're going to change this to 4-pole. Oh, it may not have this option. Oh, here we go. 4-pole rear wheel drive. M91. No, it's not that. So yeah, let's select that one. And motor balance 4%. Not sure what that means. No accessories. Monoport 1. Oh, mode reset. Okay, so we can go ahead and turn that off. So we won't need this little button anymore. Monoport 2, turn that off as well. But now that we have set it to rear wheel drive, I'm curious if it's going to set forward and reverse for us. It worked. Aw, yeah. So, okay, so it feels like the motor balancing or the motor compensation might be a little screwy. Let's turn it up to a higher speed, which is exactly what we want to do, right? Ooh. Okay. Sweet. Does that mean we're supposed to sit in this thing and try to drive it around? Is that what we're doing here? I guess we don't need this anymore. Let's verify we don't need that button. Yeah, ready to drive. I think it's time to hop into this. I'm gonna check the wheel bolts because I remember I tried to take one of those off and the adapters were a little bit funky. So I'm gonna check that real quick. Oh, and I'm gonna put a knob on there. I think we can pull it off of one of these other joysticks. Wait, do I have Allen wrenches here? Anyways, I'm gonna do some stuff. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm currently sitting in this thing. I'm recording with my phone for multiple reasons. One, I don't want to break my camera. And two, in case I have to call for help or something. So let's turn this up to the highest speed, because duh. And see what we get here. Woo! Okay. We do not have enough room in here to get up to full speed. Oh man. How fast is a Ranger X supposed to be? I'm tempted to go outside and try this more. I'm trying to think if that's a bad idea though. We are using butt connectors on our motor connections. The battery box is tied in, everything's bolted down. Huh. Well, I guess I can't really film outside anyways, so interesting. I think we have a chair. Old Dusty rides again. We are getting some weird noises from our hub adapters though, so probably wouldn't hurt to pull those apart at some point. Boy, the tires squeak. Yeah, I feel like I'm only getting up to maybe 70% speed. I think this thing might be fast. These tires are a little bit bigger. Well, here, let's compare. Okay, they're not that much bigger than stock tires. I mean, maybe 2 inches at the most. Huh. I'm gonna hop back into my other chair, and there's some information on the inside of these motors. I'm gonna take a picture of that and see what we can figure out. I think this might be a really sweet thing. Well, I mean, obviously it is, because it survived 2 trips to Burning Man. So that tells me we've got some reliability and some power going on here. And it did it with Mark IV electronics, which I'm pretty sure are not putting out 60 amps. I'm guessing 40 to 50. We'll have to look, but this is cool. By the way, thank you for giving me this chair, person. I don't know if you want your name said or not, but oh, and I have your battery tender cables right here. How long has it been since you've wanted those back? They're unhooked from the batteries. They're right here. So anyways, I'm gonna hop back into the F3 and see if we can get a photo of the specifications on the side of these motors. All right, I plugged this thing into charge, and I was trying to get a picture of those motor labels. I'm getting a very faint whiff of electronics or something hot, but I'm sure these are filled with dirt. So the brakes maybe, but I get my nose down there and I don't smell anything. My nose is not the most reliable thing in the world, but yeah. I think we're gonna stick the, by the way, I did get the SD card to store properly. We're gonna plug that into the computer and see if there's another profile, because it does kind of feel like the motor compensation's a little bit off. And, oh, actually, I think I can adjust that with the dynamics software that I have. Anyways, let's go to the computer and see what we got. All right, it is a couple hours later. I filmed a bunch of stuff playing around with the software on the computer, but we didn't really change any settings and there was nothing interesting in there. As far as the smells that this thing was making running around, I'm pretty sure it just hasn't been run at any amount of amperage in any amount of time, or for a long time. It's been sitting around for a while, and it is filled with dust. I checked all of the connectors and the wiring. Nothing was warm. The electronics are fine. The motors are like cold to the touch. So I think it might just be one of those things where you throw a toaster in storage and then use it 2 years later and it smells weird. At least that's what I'm gonna tell myself. Anyways, I think we're gonna probably wrap this up for now. It's already 10 p.m. I've finished editing most of the video, but we got a lot more done than I thought was going to be possible. I'm not gonna clean up this mess right now. That's a problem for future me. I keep doing that, and then every time I come to the warehouse, I can't do anything because there's stuff everywhere, but whatever. The batteries in this thing were well maintained. They plugged it into the charger after running it around, and the light's already green. I plugged in another charger over there, granted a weird one. That's from an old video. We replaced the cord on it and stuff. Link to that up above if you want to see that. But I think as far as proof of concept for this being a chair that's like a viable, run over my tools. Yeah, we still need to set up the seating controllers or the seating actuators and some other stuff. Tie up the wiring, probably fix the latch on the battery back here. And I don't know, just a few other random things. I do also need to take these wheels off and double check the bolts and whatnot in there. I was trying to fit this thing in my van when the chair was given to me a few months ago. And when I pulled one of the wheels off, I think I can't remember what happened, but I remember that I need to go in there and do something, and one of the wheels might fall off. So anyways, I think I'm going to run outside real quick and see how fast this thing is. I'll figure out some way to get a clip of it, I think. Yeah. Something about chairs that go fast. Uh-oh, that wheel's wobbling a bit. Oh yeah, that wheel's about to fall off. I did manage to get it up to speed once, but this right wheel, I heard one of the bolts fall off. I think that's the one I tried to remove. We do have air-filled tires, and they're probably not pumped up all the way. I don't think we were going over 7 miles an hour, so it is pretty good speed. I think with proper tires that are not, you know, the grippy ones on asphalt, my thought was it might be, you know, 8 or 10 miles an hour, but I don't think we're in that range at all. But this thing has an enormous amount of torque. I looked at the back of the old Mark IV controller, and I didn't see listed on anywhere how much power it outputs. Like I said before, I don't think it would be more than 60 amps. It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, this thing pulls hard going up hills. Not to mention, it is kind of sketchy outside here at night. There's some encampments or whatever is politically correct to call them today, but people living not too far away. So anyways, I think we're gonna call that good for now. I'm super happy with this thing. We got it going. The wheel that's trying to fall off is my fault. It barely fits through the door in here. It was just touching on both sides. So while it was set up, you know, for Burning Man with the playa or whatever they call the salty, sandy silt that's out there, I might swap on some tires that are not quite as wide. I do have someone sitting around here that would probably work. As far as driving it in the sand, I don't think that's gonna work. But anyways, I'm happy to have it online. We got the electronics swapped over. Seems to run good. And yeah, thank you for the chair. Okay, it's about 10:30. I need to finish this up, get things uploaded, and get out of here. And then I will see you guys on the stream tomorrow. And assorted things. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to say. If I remember it, I'll mention it in the stream tomorrow. See you guys then.